Chris and Bill gonna take you where you've never gone. Current events, politics, and the military. Hold on tight.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the third episode of ReconUp with Chris and Bill. It's been a couple of weeks, with Memorial Day weekend and then some personal things going on with a couple of us. We took a couple of weeks off, so we are back. And boy, glad we took a little bit of time off, Bill. There's been a hell of a lot of stuff going on. So
Man,
where do you want to get started,
has been
man?
going on.
Where do you want to get started?
Let's just jump right into the big elephant in the room, man. Trump, he's a convicted felon. You know, um, let me get your opinion on what you think about what's going on with this whole Trump ordeal. I'll say.
Yeah, man, I think you want to talk about a sham. I mean, let's give it the worst and say he paid off some hooker that he had sex with because he didn't want to embarrass his family. You know what? Shame on him. Not saying Bill Clinton did that, but Bill Clinton did that. This is something should have been pled out, would have been pled out by anybody. They charged him with 34 felonies. Think about this. You got a Democrat DA in New York City, the city that lets criminals walk free every day, violent criminals walk free every day. They're going to charge, a former president with 34 felonies for what amounts to, in their mind, business fraud, for paying a hooker to keep her mouth shut, right?
For falsifying business records.
Business records. They won't plead it out. They're going to take him to trial, keep him sitting there for 8 weeks. So he can't be on the campaign trail, right? So you got a Democrat DA, a Democrat judge sitting in one of the most Democrat heavy, districts. And of course he was going to be convicted. And what pisses me off, quite frankly, about it is, you know what? Hey, you know what? You want to talk about disenfranchising voters? What you're trying to do is prevent him from running for office. You're trying to prevent people like me from voting for the person I want to vote for because he's going to win. So yeah, I'm pissed off about it, man. This should have been pled out. Should have been bullshit. But you know what? They let it go through. And we live in a banana republic where the sitting president now, the administration, is disenfranchising voters and preventing the democratic process from going through. So yeah, I'm pissed off about it.
Let's just jump into one thing you said there, where whenever someone pleads out, though, they're actually pleading guilty.
That's a good point.
And so and there's been numerous cases where minor things like this has happened to individuals who are like, you know what, man, I don't want the hassle and headache of going to court and trial and everything. So I'll just plead out. I'll get probation for a year. But then it comes back to haunt them later on down the road when there is a more serious crime or something like that. We're like, yeah, but you actually pled guilty to falsifying business records. So as a businessman, you wouldn't want to have a plea deal where you actually say, hey, you know what, man? I falsified some business dealing, so I'm going to plead out. So you'd want to clear your name, and especially if you're like, all right, so I have a lawyer in which I've hired. He conducts business for me. Here's money. Conduct my business in which I want. I need an NDA for this individual. Nothing's illegal about that.
I agree.
There is nothing. So yes, on to your point, the state attorney, the DA, they're all been outspoken on Trump. I mean, brag, he ran on, I am going to convict Trump, how biased is that? So he had to come up with these charges, and now here we are, so
Bill, you brought up a really good point there, and you're right about pleading out. And there's a philosophical concept behind that. It's called a Morton's fork, and that means that no matter which choice you make, it ends at the same bad conclusion. So he could have chose to plead out. And to your point, you're right. I hadn't thought about that. Then they would have just pounced on that and said, "Hey, he knew he was guilty. He pled guilty. Shame on him." So he chooses to fight. He knows he's going to lose. So it's a losing proposition either way. It's called a Morton's fork. But you're right, man, 100%. Letitia James, the New York Attorney General or District Attorney, ran on the same thing. I'm going to take down Trump.
Yeah.
You know,
And so you throw that in, and then you throw in where actually this trial took place at.
oh yeah, man.
You know, um, it just kind of like the perfect storm. Where I was telling my daughter the other day, because she was asking me about this, and I was trying to explain it to her. If you were on a border town that is really overran by people crossing the border, would you want to have a trial there
That's right.
about immigration, and the laws about them not being able to cross the border? Or would you want to go up, northern states where they don't see anything, and
That's
where they're
right.
like, it's really not a big deal,
That's right.
And that's kind of where we are in New York, man. It's, people there hate Trump.
That's right. Well, they thought they hated Trump until he walked out and did that impromptu event in the Bronx, and like 35,000 people showed. Did you see that?
Oh man, yeah. The best part was the AOC who is in that district. He's like, oh, fake, it's not going to happen. Busting all these people from out of town, and then lo and behold, man, he's there, and they're interviewing the individuals, and they're like, nah, right down the street, man. Look at this dump hole. Our sitting person is not even taking care of us. Trump.
Oh yeah,
He's one of the people.
that's right.
He's out here talking to us. An open forum.
That's right.
Listening to us, and and that gets down to not a topic we're going to discuss, but Biden, when he spoke at Morehouse,
Oh boy.
he was speaking down to
Yeah.
them. He was not there, listening to
Nope.
them. He wasn't there, trying to improve upon things.
Nope.
He was just there, dinging his bell, black,
Yep.
black, 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 whatever, I increased whatever black, I did this for black. I did this with black,
Yep.
and the whole time you're just like, no, they're men, not only are they men, they're Morehouse
men. That's right.
men, in which those individuals are,
That's right.
cream of the crop, man. I mean, that is such a prestigious school
Yeah.
that teaches men how to be men, and
That's
to
right.
go there and just do his political speaking, it's just not right.
Yeah. Well, did
So,
you see they had students that were turning their backs on him?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
craziness,
Yeah.
and then what they were saying afterwards, if you want to have a discussion,
Yep.
great, let's have a discussion, but don't just come here and stump us, tell us about how great politically you have been towards black people, when in reality nothing's really changed for us over the last hundreds of years. So
Well, I just saw the latest poll, and I guess Trump has the needle has moved with black voters about 25% towards Trump. Now he's still, the majority is still primarily Democrat and Biden, but I mean it's moved
Yeah,
about 25% towards Trump. And it's interesting because even, Charlemagne the God, who's certainly not pro-Trump, but
certainly.
even he's critical of Biden now, and he's like, man, you're pandering now. You're pandering, and you hear these people saying you're pandering. And that's what I saw at Morehouse, was pandering. Give us real solutions. Give us real solutions.
And real facts. Don't tell us that, inflation is, the best it's been in 20 years when people always say numbers don't lie.
That's
Well,
right.
but they can be skewed, depending on the questions in which you ask, that's going to give you, your skewed numbers. And yeah, yeah. If you take inflation from last year to this year, man,
Yeah.
inflation's down, man. Great job. But it's not where it was 3 years ago,
Well,
you
the
know.
administration came out 2 days ago, and this is so insulting. I said, well, Americans don't really understand economics. You know what? I may not be that bright, but here's what I understand. I went and bought a pound of bacon the other day at the convenience store. Now, granted, convenience stores are not like buying at my local HEB. A pound of bacon cost me $15, man. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, $15 for a pound of bacon. Even at HEB, $9.
Yeah, yeah.
4 years ago, it was $9.
No. And I do the shopping inside my household, I go every Sunday, I buy food for the week, you know, anywhere, I'm feeding anywhere from 2 to 5 people, depending on who's home at the Brown household. Man, last Sunday I spent $250, and that was only for 3 days worth of food,
Yep.
and then some, some paper towels in which, we buy bulk, for
Yeah.
long-term use. But literally, man, package of chicken, some fish, some hamburger, you know. So I'm just going nuts. And normally, we have budgeted right at, $600 a month for grocery food, and that has always sufficed us, and we'd have money left over. Of course, we go out to eat a lot, but now, man, I mean, $250 a pop, closer to 300 for a
Oh
week.
yeah,
And my eating habits have not changed. Our household has decreased, but the price is still going up, man. And
that's right.
yeah, we definitely need a change. What it just cannot be Biden. It just can't be Biden because he's a fucking idiot. Excuse my language. Sorry, man.
Well,
He
I noticed he's gone away from using Bidenomics finally. Everybody told him don't do that, and he was like, Bidenomics. Biden people are like, that's a bad thing to say. And now they're just saying that we're too dumb to understand, economics. And I'm like, you know what, maybe, but here's what I do know. And you've got a big truck, you got a big camper on it, dude. That gas ain't cheap. Shit, man.
no. Well, hey, but luckily for us, and of course, Trump did this too, but election time, how many millions of barrels of
Yep,
fuel are they releasing?
that's right.
Have they even resupplied the stuff they took
Of course
last
not.
time?
Of course not.
And
Of
all
course
that
not.
does is put America at risk.
That's right.
You know,
That's right,
he
man.
he's more worried about pandering to the people than actually taking care of the individuals.
Well,
So
let's talk about that. I mean, to the people, which people? Because we just how much money. So I looked this up the other day. The Marine Corps budget, the entire Marine Corps, I think is around I don't know, $50 billion, right? The Marine Corps annual budget, a little
yeah,
bit under 50 billion. And I just realized we just sent Ukraine another 60 billion on top of 100. Dude, the Marine Corps' entire budget for a year, the entire U.S. Marine Corps is about $50 billion, man. And
and
we've sent 3 times that to Ukraine. Do I think that giving somebody a helping hand against the Russians a good thing to do? Yeah, but what expense, man? What cost to us? You know?
Yeah. There and again, politicians, majority of them are not here for the American people. They're
Oh,
not
hell no.
here for we the people.
Hell no.
They are here for them and their bank account.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, you're not saying Biden has filled his pockets, are you? I mean, he's a man of the people right there. He and his son are a man of the people.
Yes. Yes. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how his son trial goes next week when it starts.
Oh boy.
You
Yeah. Well,
know,
hey man, as Biden has said, nobody is above the law except Hillary and, and the other Clinton and his son and himself. And I mean, the list goes on, right? Nobody else is above the law, though.
yeah. But all right. So with Trump, his misdemeanor charges, the statute of limitation ran out
Right.
on that for his, business dealings, So they had to trump it up to get
Felonies.
the felony charges,
Yep.
which then didn't have a statute of limitation. But let's look at Biden's son, Hunter, with all his tax dealings and all his other crimes.
Oh, the
You know,
guns.
yeah, they let the statute of limitation just run out on that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, um, oh man, it's prediction. You ready for my prediction?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Biden's going to get like probation for like 2 years. He can't
Right.
own a gun. He won't be able to do all that. Trump, uh, I predict they will, give him a jail sentence.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. They
Now,
want to keep him off the campaign trail.
yep. Now, the Secret Service, they have a job to do.
Yep.
Protect the president, ex-president. So that's going to be the interesting thing.
Yep.
The head of the Secret Service now is a Biden person. She'll fold. She'll fold to Biden because she's more political than she is a leader. So it's going to be interesting. So.
Yeah, they're just trying to tarnish him, keep him off the campaign trail. They know he's going to mop the floor with Biden,
Yeah.
And I mean that's why I'm pissed off, And for those that are watching who don't know what a banana republic is, a banana republic refers typically to, a small country that has a single export, and it came about because of, believe it or not, the dole, bananas. And what would happen is it was such a big export, it made up so much of their economy and everything. We wanted to make sure that it didn't get interrupted. So guess what? People get involved in the elections. They make sure that you keep the people in power who you want in power so you can keep the money rolling. And it's called a banana republic because it's not really a republic and there is no democratic, mechanisms there. And that's what we have here. When you've got people being suppressed and you've got, political, candidates being put in jail on trumped up charges like this, we're truly in a banana republic. We're living in bizarro world right now. I mean, we're living in bizarro world, and anybody that doesn't believe it ought to read a little bit of history.
And
And then let's a little bit, this is a sore subject, I know, for some people. What kills me now is oh wait, Biden and Israel. Let's talk about that. You had a comment on this. Let's talk about that $360 million dock in Gaza.
hey, come on now. It almost worked for a week, right?
Yeah. So what was the deal? So we built that because we decided we were going to ship supplies into Gaza, right?
Yeah.
And we couldn't airlift them in, and so they built this $360 million dock, land bridge. What did they call that thing?
I don't know, land bridge, I believe.
Yeah.
But that is something that the regular Navy
Right.
could do in their sleep.
Right.
They have actual departments that's all they do, is build those bridges.
Yeah.
But I hate to say it, with the new military, um, you know, we know that they're not getting the correct funding. We
Mhm.
know that the caliber of the individuals in which the military are now receiving, uh, their work ethic is not there, and it kind of shows, in what the U.S. military is kind of doing now. Especially, there's no way that bridge, uh, 320 feet, there's no way that it should have floated away under
So,
any
so, so,
type of
are you
ship.
saying didn't the Navy used to have some people called the Navy Construction Battalion? Weren't they called like something like CBs?
Like something like CBs where they could build anywhere.
Anything, anything, anywhere, man. Like under being bombed in the South Pacific, they were building fucking tarmacs and airports and runways.
Oh
They
man.
could
And
they could have built that blindfolded at night.
exactly, but they got the idiots in charge now who literally are like, well, I think it should work, where there's no logic or anything behind it. They're so set on, hey, we need to do this because it's going to look good. Let's just do it. And so they do it, without the proper building materials, without the
Right.
proper
Yep.
people, without the proper, thinking ahead on how to do it. They put it out there and all right, look, man, we got how many tons of food did they actually wheel off there? Like 19 or I can't
Nothing.
remember. It was a ton of food. But what happened to the food as soon as it hit the land? It didn't go to the Palestinian people, it went to Hamas.
That's
So
right.
no matter if it came in from the sea or, if it came in
Right.
from the land, the end result was the same.
Hey man, it
Except
was just like Somalia, dude. Didn't matter how you put it out there. It all went to the wrong people, man.
exactly. And everyone knew that was what was going to happen.
That's right.
You know, the experts were telling him, well, that's fine and dandy, but once it gets on the soil, you
That's
have
right.
no other control over it. You know, um, I say we just go back to airdropping it in.
Yep.
Hey, if there's smart people out there that's like, hey, look, man, they're airdropping food in. Here, I'm going to catch it. Hang on. You know, Darwin works in mysterious ways, man. But you know what? At least some people on the ground, some of the Palestinians will get food,
They
you
will.
know,
Yeah.
and Hamas won't take it all just to feed their soldiers.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, the CBs, man, they could have built that in 2 seconds. We probably had, Pete Buttigieg had it, Buttigieg or whatever, heading that whole thing up. What a disaster! And it sank in like a week because they didn't anticipate the seas or
Yeah.
whatever.
I mean, hello. What's the Naval Oceanic Society? Yeah, we didn't know the seas were going to be rough next week.
Yeah, really? Yeah,
You're the Navy,
yeah,
really? You didn't know that?
yeah. I mean, and by the way, I just want to say to Naval Special Warfare very quickly,
Oh, yeah.
Happy Pride Month. I saw that the Naval Special Warfare put out a very nice Happy Pride Month to all the Naval Special Warfare operators, and not we're all. Hey, you know what, Bill? You and I talked about this, man. And here's the thing, people. Look, when I was in the Marine Corps, there are dudes that are gay, and that you don't give a shit. You know that. We all
Yeah.
served a dude gay, whatever, man.
Didn't bother me at all.
Nobody gives a fuck.
I mean, and and not to talk bad about Thailand, it's a great place, man.
Yep.
But you go there, and you have people in your platoon who you're like, I think that guy might be a little little light in the loafers, Didn't care, great operator, man. Go out there mugging, shoot things all day long, side by side, sleeping
Yep.
in the same hooch, Heck, spooning together when it's cold. And you hit out there in Thailand and you're like, dude, I don't think we want to go to that bar. He's like, you may not want to go to that bar, but that's the bar I want to go to. And you know what, man? It'd be like, have fun, dude. Have fun. Hey, I'm going over here to this bar.
Yep.
And the next day, same fighting hole,
That's it.
spooning.
Yeah,
Didn't have
but
any
they got to
worries.
make such a big deal about it. They came out with that ridiculous naval special warfare equity. Oh, what I like, on that same note, I just saw a funny meme, and it had these three college kids wearing the kafayas and all that, and they're like, Allah respects diversity. It's like, no, Allah respects equality. It's like, yeah, kids, you got that wrong. You got that wrong. I tell you what, take that and go anywhere in the Middle East or anywhere in Africa where it's primarily Muslim, and you're going to realize that, well, Allah may respect that, the people over there do not, and they'll cut your heads off.
I mean, women over there get killed.
Yeah, man.
For actually showing skin.
Oh yeah, man.
And
Hey, do you remember the story of that husband and wife that decided they were going to show the world that all you have to do is be kind to people, and they got a couple of bicycles and they were going to ride their bikes across all the stands, and they started like in whatever Shitistan and Pakistan, whatever, and they got to Afghanistan. Next thing you know, they're kidnapped by the Taliban, held for 5 years. She's raped, gives birth to like 3 kids. He's beaten to death, almost to death, and all because they were Westerners, man. That was it.
And they just don't understand other people's culture, their religion. So let's go back a couple of years prior to that with the 2 females that were backpacking through, the same region, same country.
I remember that. They got killed. Yeah.
Brutally raped, murdered, all on video.
That's right. I remember that. And I think they were like Dutch or something, weren't they, or Norwegian or something?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
And people just don't understand that,
Well, and do you remember that young woman, Kayla Mueller, who worked for the UN? Do you remember that? It was over there working for the UN doing humanitarian stuff in Syria. Young woman, college girl, like 23, 24, whatever, and was over there like just trying to help kids. By all accounts, nice young lady, but she was kind of idealistic, and was kind of pro, like people are misunderstanding these people. And then she got kidnapped by not the Taliban, by ISIS, and taken as one of the guy's sex slave brides, and then she was killed. And if you remember, they paraded her body and all that stuff. And people don't realize you can go over there and be the nicest person in the world. These people, when I say these people, I'm not saying generally Muslim people over there. I've been all over the world. You've been all over the world. We've been some pretty nasty places. Generally very good people. When you get around extremists and terrorists and people like that, these are not good people. They will cut your head off just for believing the wrong type of Islam.
Yeah. And there's 2 countries that I'm going to do a big shout out to. One, Japan, and another one, South Korea. Those were places where I spent quite a bit of time at, and don't know the language, stupid American here, but you go to a restaurant and they tell you how much, and all, you just hold out like all of your money. You're like, hey, here. They only take what the meal costs.
Right.
They're very honest. I never had that feeling when I was in Iraq. You hold out some money, man. They're taking it all.
That's right.
And then they're going to take your shoes. People need to understand that the culture we have here in America, which is very diverse,
right?
Other cultures and other places, you'll actually die. If you don't believe in their beliefs.
That's right. And people don't get that. It was funny. I was talking to my wife last night because we were watching this crime show, right? And she's into crime shows, and we were talking about the legal system in the U.S. and we were watching this thing the other night about in the U.S. And I said, well, the guy that they convicted by all accounts, very bad dude, you know, I mean, horrible guy. I said, but I think that the way they convicted him was not appropriate. And she said, why? And I said, well, I don't see any evidence for him having committed that crime. And I said, look, he was clearly a very bad dude, but I think that's why he was convicted and that's why it was overturned, because they didn't do their due. Look, he was a bad dude, but in our system, you know, you have to be convicted of that crime. There has to be evidence of that crime, right? And I said, that's why our Constitution is great in our system. So fast forward to what we were watching last night. And she's like, well, this doesn't make sense because we were talking about, you know, you got to be convicted of that crime. And I said, Rhea, this is not the US system. And this is what Americans don't understand.
Yeah.
You go to another country and their laws can be completely different. I said, the evidentiary requirements over there are not like they are here. They can bring in prior bad acts. They can basically say, hey, this guy was a jerk, you know, and you have no recourse. And she's like, oh my gosh, you don't think about that. And I said, people don't think about it unless they travel. I remember we went to Naples, Italy. We're coming back from Africa, from Somalia. Our ship broke down. We stopped in Naples. You know, I'd been stationed there. So the captain said, hey, can you write up for everybody kind of what to do in Naples and this and that? And I said, yeah. And so I wrote up and I said, hey, here's a rule of warning. If you're in a car and the Carabinieri come up and they flash, we call them lollipops. They have those sticks that look like lollipops. And on one side's green, one side's red. And I said, and they flash the red side to you, don't mess around with them. Stop your car and get out. And there are a couple of Marines and a sailor that apparently decided to tempt that. And those Carabinieri got out and they took their nightsticks and they beat the bejesus out of those sailors and Marines. And man, they beat them about their thighs and their buttocks and everything to the point they couldn't walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody was uptight about it. And I said, dude, you're not in America. I warned you.
Yeah.
You know, you go to Thailand, they'll beat the snot out of you. You go other places in the world, they don't care.
Oh yeah. 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 I'm a fairly big watch copper. You know, I like to watch videos on cops and how they actually, you know, harass people and things like that.
I love that.
Know? And you know, I was actually pulled over last Wednesday, you know, just a couple of days ago. You know, I bought the camper, you know, didn't have the lights on it, you know, didn't have a license plate, knew that. And I was just like, man, I only got to drive 30 miles,
Yep.
you know, through, you know, 2 shithole Texas towns, small towns. I'm like, I can make it, you know, and normally I have everything set up. I got extra cameras in my truck, you know, I got a personal camera that I wear, and I was driving, seen a cop ahead of me, and I'm like, all right, man, I'm doing the speed limit. Everything's going good. And I'm like, oh man, he pulled out, pulls me over. Right. And normally, you know, I would just present my ID and insurance because, you know, I just don't break the law. But this time, for some reason, I rolled down my window about 2 inches. I actually handed it to him, you know, which never do, always present. And he took some, looks at my name, and then just hands them back right to me. And is like, oh, no, you know what? I just pulled you over because I saw your camper and I have a camper too. Now, normally I would have been like, dude, you can't do that. You just can't pull someone over to talk to them. But right after he said that, he goes, okay, but the reason I pulled you over was you don't have any lights and you don't have a tag. Yep. And then I'm like, yes. And normally I just wouldn't say anything. Yeah. But as soon as he handed back my ID and license, I'll like, officer discretion, you know, hey, so tell me about your camper. How long have you had it? and then we sat there for 20 minutes, you know, and he's just talking about the camper and everything. Yeah. You normally don't get that in other countries, you know, where they're nice and polite, especially we're talking about getting beat up with the sticks or,
oh yeah, man, you
know, they're brutal, but they're not all good here. So just don't talk to cops.
Well, that's, people got to learn that, you know, and what I have found in my experience is 99% of the time, if you're, you know, at least polite, you know your rights, you certainly got to assert them. But if you're polite, most cops are on the up and up, you know. Unfortunately, you're going to run into a few that are not, you know.
Correct. Yeah. And
Yeah.
and that's it. Be polite.
Yeah.
Be firm on your rights. The
Yep.
important thing is just know the laws, man. Is just know the
That's it.
laws. No, like my wife got pulled over. She actually got pulled over in your car for not having a front license plate once.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's right. That's
A-
right.
And you know, the wife's like, "God, it's so strange. I've never been pulled over." And she's explained to the cop that the car's not mine.
Right,
I'm
right.
just driving it. And small Texas town. And the cop asked her like 1,000 questions on where you going, where you coming from, what's in the car, can I search it, and I'm not saying you have a nice car, but you got a nice car.
Mm.
Um, and the wife's like, that's so weird, because he just let me go with the warning. I'm like, oh yeah, because you know what? They want to find more. That's just a pretext to actually what they're looking for.
That's right.
And then she got pulled over again like 2 months ago for her license plate holder was covering up some of the word Texas.
Really?
That's what she got. And the guy's like, yeah, it can't cover half of the Texas name. And of course, I go out there because I'm like, well, that's a bullshit law. I actually research it, and it is a true law
No
that your
kidding.
license plate holder cannot cover half of the word Texas.
Interesting.
So I go out there and look, and I'm like, oh, that's not half. Yeah, it's like a quarter. And I'm like, Jennifer, if you would have known your rights,
Yeah.
you could have been like, no, but it was a pretextual stop in a nice car,
Yeah.
traveling in a not so good area. Pretextual stop, man. What else am I going to find? And then just to be like, okay, well, you get that fixed. When actually it wasn't even something broken to begin with.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize that what you just said. The word pretext, and it's an interesting word. It's a legal term, and pretext is exactly that. It's a manufactured reason to allow you to take some other action, right? And in
Yep.
this case, it's like, oh well, hey, it's covering up half of Texas. The word Texas. So I'm going to pull you over. Complete bullshit. But legally, it kind of gives them a reason to pull you over. Kind of like we all see the cops go, well, you didn't use your turn signal. Yeah, it's a he said, she said at that point, right?
Yep.
And you see this all the time, especially, and I hate to say it, and it's unfortunate because I watch all those videos, and it's really frustrating. I was watching one the other day, and this dude's he's a business owner. He just happens to be a black guy, right? Business owner, and he's driving a really nice BMW. Clearly, this cop is in the wrong. Pulls him over, and the guy's like, you know what? You pulled me over because I'm a black dude in a BMW driving through the side of town. He goes, just call it for what it is. And the guy's like, no, you didn't use your turn signal. And he's like, no, this is bullshit. Bring your supervisor out here. And it escalated, and the guy ended up getting let off, but rightfully so. He was pissed, man.
Oh
He should
yeah.
have been.
Yeah.
Should have been, man. And we've all kind of experienced that at some level. But yeah, it gets tough when you run into that kind of nonsense, man. And it's
Yeah.
and cops that want to abuse their authority. That happened to me not too long ago. Hey, so let's talk about something a little bit serious. So last couple of weeks, I referenced when we first started this. It's been a couple of tough weeks for me. So I found out one of my, and I'm not going to use any names here, oldest and dearest friends, has been diagnosed with advanced cancer, colon and liver cancer, right? And
Yep.
it shook me pretty bad. And I think there are three things that affect everybody. Every person is touched by, if I could say, I think cancer, mental health, and addiction probably hits us all at some level, whether it's personally or somebody we know. I don't
Yep.
think anybody's not touched by all three of those. But he was hit, and young, healthy. Well, when I say young, about my age, mid-50s, about our age.
Yep.
Healthy as can be, black belt in jujitsu. I mean, just the guy's done everything. Very advanced state. He's fighting and tough dude. And then I call another friend of mine who I respect a lot, who's been in the cancer fight for years with his son. raised a lot of money for, Jimmy Fund did all this. And he's like, oh, and by the way, I'm struggling as well. And it really kind of knocked me for a loop a little bit. And one of the things that's tough for me is, and Bill, you and I have talked about this over the years, but screenings, man. So I mean, I know you've got experience with cancer. I mean, what are your thoughts, man? If you want to share anything, I know you offered to share some views on it.
Yeah. There's some cancer out there that impact men more than women, and there's some cancers out there that impact women more than men. One good thing about all of them is there's pre-screenings. I am a cancer survivor. Woo woo. My wife is too, but hers is skin cancer. I don't know if you treat them the same, but it's still cancer. But no, I actually had prostate cancer back in 2012. And I would get yearly PSAs done, especially being inside the military, my PSA has always been within the normal range. Yeah, I get out of the military, didn't check it for 5-6 years. Went in, was just doing a routine, lab work, and they drew my PSA, and man, was high, and didn't think anything of it. I'm still in my 40s. Prostate cancer. Go to the doctor, and they're like, "All right, man. Hey, here are your options." Of course, I did elect to have mine removed. I kind of think a little differently now about that, but it's so important once you hit 50 to get those colonoscopies,
Yep.
To start getting all these tests done and stay on top of it, mammograms,
Yep.
all those things, when you're talking cancer, the sooner you can detect it, the better, don't wait. Mine, I was already, 6 years into it, and whenever, it was stage 3 at the time. But then whenever they did go in and remove it and they tested it there, they did found out that it was actually stage 4, and it was actually went outside of my prostate. So then I had to go back and do some radiation therapy, which, it's all brutal. It takes a toll on your body, but I'm going to be around for many years after that. I've been cancer free now for 12 years. So I've been really happy with that. But it's so important for people to actually get tested, have your colonoscopy, have your Cologuards, check your PSA, go have regular checkups. Make sure you get your mammograms, if anyone has any issues, I'll just start out with, what? I know how to give prostate exam. I am a corpsman. That's what I used to do in the military. All right. And also I can check mammary glands. All right. Don't worry about my thumb, but I can feel all up in those things. There's been many times I actually checked women for prostate cancer. They don't know did not have a prostate, but I checked it anyway, man. You can never be too safe. But making light of that, I'm sorry to hear about your friends. It's definitely something that's tough, and we just need to encourage people to actually go out, especially you too, man. I mean,
Friday, man. I'm scheduled for Friday, man. I missed last year. And I don't know if you remember, but I'm not going to say who she is, but a dear friend of mine, somebody who I was very close to and still am for a long time. And she came home one day and said, she was 38, and said, hey, my female doctor said I need to get a colonoscopy. She's pretty embarrassed by it. And I said, well, let's go get one. Right. And so we go in, and she's waking up, and the doctor, she's a little bit out of it as you are. doctor says, "Hey, who asked you to come in here and get a colonoscopy at 38?" And she said, my gynecologist. And he said, "Well, go tell her thank you for saving my life." And I was like, say what? Well, at 38, she had 9 inches of her bowel resected, and she had something called serrated polyp syndrome. And he said, I remember at that point, he said, "We know how to prevent colon cancer." He said, "The problem is probably much like prostate cancer." He goes, "People don't want to get a colonoscopy. They're embarrassed by it. They're,
Yep.
whatever." And I was looking up the stats today. They say 68% of deaths from colorectal cancer can be prevented just by screening. So, I've stayed on top of mine. I'm going in Friday because I missed mine last year. And, but I'd stayed on top of it. So I'm in there Friday getting mine. But to your point, yeah, anybody that's watching this, is it time consuming? Is it a pain in the ass? Literally. It's not. You know what? They actually give you propofol. You take a Michael Jackson nap for a couple hours. You don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, but I actually heard Naval Special Warfare guys
Right.
that they actually do theirs monthly now. Have you not seen their new logo?
Yeah, I have.
So
And they're
good
lined
on them
up for
good on them for setting the example.
Yeah, they're lined up for it. But I remember Bill used to say that these young Marines and sailors would say they don't want to get their prostate exam, and you'd sit there and be like, "Let me tell you about having prostate cancer," right? And they'd be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, okay, hey, I'm down for it." And by the way, anybody watching this now, the finger wag, the old days, that's not the go-to anymore. It's the PSA, man. They just take your blood, they check your PSA, which is a hormone, right, Bill?
Yep. Yeah.
They check
It's
your
an
PSA.
antigen.
If your PSA is too high, then they do the finger wag, apparently. If it's not too high, you're good to go. So it literally is just pulling a little bit of blood on you. But definitely to your point, Bill, get that check, because it really is, man, it hit me hard, quite frankly.
Yeah.
It comes out of the blue, man. Comes out of the blue.
It does. And it actually impacts everyone in your life around you.
Yeah.
Because, people, you're going to die, the chances are way up there, but you have to put on this face, it's a tragic, but you want to help other people that are close to you. You want to help them out. So, you always put on that strong, hey, it's going to be okay. We're going to fight this together type stuff. And, the outcome, and it just sucks, so you just got to be supportive, you got to help them out. And you just got to be real with them, because they don't want you to go through the struggles in which they're going through,
Right.
But man, it's just so important to get those colonoscopies, those mammograms, the prostate checks, and all those other things in which you need. My cousin, who's turning 60 this month, 2 weeks ago, he just had part of his colon removed, because he was having issues. Yep. And it was stage 2. Right now, he still has a couple of weeks to wait to see if they got it all. But right now, everything's looking good, awesome. and he should have a normal life after that, But if he did not catch it, he probably wouldn't be with us much longer,
Yeah.
It just would have taken his life, which is sad.
Awesome, man. Well, to finish this on a sad note for everybody, but actually it was a good PSA to keep everybody aware, and again, it's always, because especially like people in the world we come from, and a lot of people are going to watch this from the world we come from. We all think we're 10 feet tall and bulletproof. You don't think it's going to hit you. And all of a sudden you wake up one day and you realize, man, somebody I know that's very close to me is struggling with it, or God forbid, it's you that's struggling with it. Right.
Yeah.
So you got to stay on top of that. So yeah, I'm in there Friday afternoon getting my Michael Jackson nap, and hopefully everything comes out good, man.
Show everyone the video, dude. I'd love to see it.
I'm gonna ask you if I can do that. That would be hilarious. All right, Bill. So we're 50 minutes right now, my man.
All
So
right.
let's sign off. I'm gonna have to edit this a little bit, and then we'll get it up here the next few hours, brother.
All right, man. Just take out my cuss words. All right.
You got it, brother. All right. Thanks everybody for listening, and you'll hear us here in the next week or so. Thanks,
All right,
guys.
man. See y'all later.